So, welcome. I am the Scraptastic Crocheter, and I am just going to be crocheting for a while today. So, I'll grab something to drink and a project and keep me company. So, let's see here. If you were here or if you've seen my latest live, it's the same project. This Marnie's garden blanket. And I've worked a little bit on it since I did the last live. I was on this row last time. So a couple of more rows on this pretty huge heavy blanket. And it's quite warm, so I can't have it on my legs at all time, because then I'm gonna sweat. And you might not be watching me live, you might watch this as a rerun, and that's perfectly fine. I am planning to try to do lives on a fairly regular basis, so maybe you'll be here for my next one. Hopefully, I won't have the same problem as I had the last time, because I have changed the position of my phone and the holder this time. Last time I had the problem, I kept hitting the holder and the phone kept moving from time to time. But I think I have solved that today. Keeping my fingers crossed that this is better. Since I am very new to the whole live thing, I do expect a couple of hiccups occasionally, so bear with me. I'm working on it. I have not only been working on this project for the last few days, I have started on something else as well. And I might give you a sneak peek in a little bit of what I've been doing. Hello and welcome, whoever is lurking in my chat. I'm really loving the colors of these clusters. It really makes it feel like a garden. Bluish greens, greens and oranges, like small flowers. Very nice. I wonder how long these rows are taking now. This particular stitch is very yarn eating. They're very dense with these cluster stitches. And previous rows recently are over half an hour, or rounds I should say, since this is a square blanket and I'm working in the round, but every side is half an hour plus. But this type of stitch, it kind of feels like it's taking longer, since it's technically like 3 unfinished double crochets together, and that just feels like it takes longer, not just the yarn itself, but to make the stitches. So I'm thinking that the rounds are even slower now. Not a bad thing. I just want it to grow faster so I get it finished in time. Are you working on something? Need some more yarn. Let's see, 2 more. This is basically like a extra fluffy V-stitch, because this is only 1 stitch since it's all together, and then we're doing 2 chains. So it's, well, like the V-stitch with 2 chains in the middle. And just like the other evening when I was doing my live, I was very much in the mood for a coffee. And it's quite late, so coffee is not a good thing at this hour. But I would enjoy the taste of a coffee. I don't know if it's like, I've heard a lot about decaf in, like, I guess movies or TV shows from the US, but I don't think it's very common here in Sweden. I can't really say on top of my head that I have looked for it, but I don't think I've seen it in the stores here. Swedes are very much like coffee people, but not the whole like no caffeine type of style. But if I'd have coffee now, I'd be up all night. And that's not my plan. Because I have kids to entertain in the morning. And I'd be dead if I don't sleep anything at all. So that's probably a good thing if I try to avoid. But at this time of night, evening, it's just me time, crochet time, peace and quiet, which I very much enjoy and appreciate. The silence. If my front post double crochets looks a little bit funny or different, it is because it's not regular front post double crochets. It's extended front post double crochets. So what you do is the regular yarn over, go around the post and pull up a loop. And when you yarn over, you only go through one, yarn over, go through two, yarn over, and go through the last two. So it's the extra in the beginning where you only pull through the first one. That will give you a little bit more height and less that, like, if you do tight double crochets front post, they have a tendency to want to fold over themselves or like make the whole fabric curl over like this. So that's one way to avoid it. Not every pattern will be suitable for the extended version, and yeah, I usually don't do the extended ones, but I didn't write this pattern, and it's not folding over itself. It works. I'm just doing what the pattern tells me to do. Simple as that. I'm a bit curious to what time of day people usually have like crochet time, because I think some people that's like early bird, they go up and they crochet for a bit in the morning, have breakfast and whatnot, and then wake up the rest of the family. And some are more in the evening when everyone's asleep. I'm definitely more of an evening person. I'd rather just stay in bed. But that's not an option every day, so. I wonder how many times I've almost fallen asleep or like fallen asleep while crocheting on this blanket, because it's really starting to get heavy, like a weighted blanket. So it's really cozy and nice and warm and snuggly, but it makes me tired when it's on me. Like a huge hug. This pattern is a repeater pattern. You do a couple of rows and then you repeat and do the same again. And last repeat, when I did this same part over here, this part here took 2 skeins of the yarn. So it's going to be interesting to see how many I need now, since it's yard eating stitches, and I added a couple of more stitches per round since I did this. So it's going to be interesting to see how much I need for this. I did already start a new skein on this. So the whole first row was 1 skein, and when I started the second row here, I started a new skein. So I can feel that it's starting to like deflate. It's a big hole in the center already. But yeah, I wonder if I'm gonna need one more skein before I'm done with this color this time around. I'm doing it exactly the same as I did here with the whole rounds till where I do this ridge. So there's a couple of rounds in this particular color. So it does have potential for having to start another skein. Why did that stitch go all tricky on me? There we go. Oh, tricky stitches sometimes. this slippery yarn and these extended front posts. Sometimes they don't want to let me go through the first one alone and just become a regular front post double crochet. But that's the thing with slippery yarns, they do a little bit what they want sometimes. And again. I'm guessing a lot of people are either, I don't know, sleeping, at least in the Europe, or yeah, sleeping, maybe out partying, or busy doing things during the day and not have crochet time yet. But I get it. People have lives. Just because I sit here and crochet doesn't mean that everyone else has time to do it at this particular moment. But I'm not giving up. I might as well just keep the live stream going while I crochet. And maybe there will be more people here to join in a while. I am feeling the corner in my hand. Almost there. Ooh, thumbs up. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. The YouTube algorithm likes thumbs up. The more thumbs up you get, the more YouTube will want to share and spread the content so that even more people can see the videos and the live streams and whatnot. So it does help. Just as comments on videos help. And here I am thinking I had it all figured out with the holder for my phone. And of course I hit it. I'm sorry. And I slightly moved the blanket only because I got to the corner. I'm just shifting it around a little bit. And more was put on my leg. And I just started sweating. Oh, how little it takes. I'm gonna just get some water here in my small glass. Can you see the size of this glass? It's more like a flower vase. Like I can easily put 2 hands on it. I'll just have to make do with water, even though coffee would be great. I'm curious, if you're watching this at a later time, because I guess you missed it or something, what would be a better time for you to actually sit down and watch it? Me doing another live. Because right now, for me, it's Saturday evening, and it's just a nice time for me to sit down. Well, I sit here more or less every evening. So technically, I could do it, you know, almost every day of the week. But that's evening in Europe. And Europe evening is, I don't know, midday maybe in the US. And is it early morning or something? In Asia, Australia, or I think I'm more or less 12 hours difference from New Zealand. So it should be like early morning in Australia. I think most of, well, statistically, the viewers on my channel are, there's a lot of American people, as far as I can tell, that usually pops in to watch my videos. So I guess I should try to occasionally do a live that suits for, yeah, those type of time zones. Then again, I don't know really when my European friends are awake, or I know when they're awake, but like when they have time to watch crochet YouTube channels. I kind of like looking at the statistics because I'm just a geek like that. I like yarn and I like statistics. But I don't want to get too hung up on the statistics. But I do like to analyze it. And occasionally I learn something from it. Oh, hello. I see some more people found me at this hour. You're very welcome. Where are you from? I'm curious to know what people are here right now, because I'm trying to figure out if this is a good time to go live. Is it some European night owls that's around at this time, or is it early bird? Oh, that's a fun name. The coffee sandworm. Here I've been sitting more or less complaining that it's very late because I'm in Sweden and I don't know what time it is, but it's probably getting closer to midnight soon or something like that. And I am very much in the mood for coffee, but if I have coffee now, I will be up all night. And I have to get up in the morning to get, breakfast for the kids. So I can't have coffee right now because I'd be dead tomorrow if I don't sleep. So your name is quite teasing. I was curious, like, are people still busy? I don't know what time it is in different time zones, but I'm thinking, like, is it dinner time for some? Because then they might not have time to sit down, relax, and watch YouTube or, just do some crafty stuff. I was thinking maybe I have to be here for, like, a little later, an hour or two away from now, maybe. I don't know. It's really cool, though, that there's people from all over the world that can easily be connected and chit chat, share their stuff. It's really fun. So Eastern works pretty good at this time ish. I did a live, is it 2-3 days ago or something? And I was up really late. But there was a lot more people here then. So I'm thinking maybe people are just busy because it's weekend and they're doing other things. Not everyone has, just relax and chill time during the weekends. But you at least have the possibility to have a coffee for me. Since it's probably not too bad for you to have a coffee at this hour. If you have coffee in your name, that means you like coffee. It's gotta mean something along those lines. If you don't like coffee, I would be very shocked actually. I was thinking, I don't know how it is now. Like, after all restrictions and whatnot, most countries seem to don't have a lot of restrictions anymore. But I don't know, Sundays just don't feel like people would have a lot of time either, because there's a lot of people going to church and stuff on Sundays. So I figured that's probably not a best time either, because when they do church and all of the get-togethers and stuff, that usually takes a lot of time for some people as well. And weekdays feels like people don't have time because they work and have to, come home from work, fix dinner, get kids to bed, and rinse and repeat. So I don't know, is there really a good time? Every day is just as bad as the others. There's not enough hours in the days. What's your preferred craft? Do you have any, like, you only do one thing, or do you like to do different things? I would say I am 99% a crocheter, but I occasionally can do other things if I really want to, which is mostly never. Well, I do also hoard yarn, but that's a hobby in itself. Yarn hoarding and perhaps a little bit of patterns as well. But that's not the same thing as actually like doing other crafts. Knowing how to do a lot of things and enjoying them is not the same thing. Oh, so you're like a little bit of like different type or different periods, or you know, painting in spring. Is there something special to why you paint in spring? Or is it just that like the spring colors make you want to paint? Because I can be a little bit like, depending on where we're at in the year, I do different type of objects, or like to work with different type of fibers. Cottons are my go-to during summer because I don't get as sweaty hands and such when it's warm. And I would never do like this, a big acrylic blanket during summer, because it's just too warm. And when it's warm, I get a little like sweaty or clammy hands, and that makes my yarn squeak, and I just don't like that. It's not very enjoyable. But yeah, this time of year, like winter, fall, that's definitely like blanket season. I can do blankets in the summer if it's cotton, like baby blankets. That's pretty light. I crochet all year round. I just like pick my projects depending on the season or like the fibers. But I crochet every day. I don't think there's been a very many days the last year that I didn't crochet. The days I didn't crochet was mostly because I was sick and just didn't have the energy to do it. Because, feeling sick, you usually don't have anything like energy for much at all. So that was just TV mode on the couch, doing as little as possible for as long as possible. I'm at the point where I probably crochet more than it's healthy. I guess it's almost like an addiction, or it's like I have problems with anxiety and such, and it's soothing. So I get very, well, it just doesn't feel good when I don't have anything to crochet in my hands. I get all stressed up and such. But I do feel like I'm crocheting more than I have. Like, I'm not doing what I wish I'd do. Like, I wish I could get more YouTube videos up and like share my stuff. But when I sit here crochet, I just forget and don't find the time to sit down and record. So I figured I'd try the lives instead and see if that's interesting to other people. But I don't know. I'm very self-conscious and a bit maybe perfectionistic or something along those lines, and it just feels like it's not good enough. So I have been recording stuff and just not posting it because it just didn't feel like it was good enough. And I have to get better at just find, I guess, confidence in that it is good enough. And going live is just like raw, unedited. Whatever happens, happens. So I'd say it's a great way to try and build my self-esteem up. However long that's going to take, I don't know. But that's me issues. And crochet is what I want to share. Not the other stuff, really. It's just a part of it, I guess. Of me, that is. What do you prefer to binge watch when you crochet? I usually have other YouTubers up, or some Netflix series or something in the background, but I mostly just listen. I don't know how many series I've seen, well, not really seen, that if I'd see a picture of the lead character, I wouldn't recognize it. Because it's just most of the time focusing on my crocheting, watching my stitches, counting stitches and such. Yeah, I've been thinking about Peaky Blinders. Also, I've seen some series a couple of times without realizing it at first. Because it's been like, oh, this looks interesting. Let's see that. And then, like, 3 episodes in, I realized, oh, I already saw all of this like a year ago. But I didn't really see it. So, and it took me a couple of episodes before I realized I did already watch it. So, I might as well just rewatch the whole season or something like that. It's quite funny, actually, when that happens. Well, I love doing pretty easy stuff when I'm, well, right now. I try to keep an eye on the chat and such at the same time, so I figured I'm not gonna do like over tricky stuff. I have started a new project as well today, and that pattern I have not done before. So there's a lot of reading pattern and there's a lot of counting stitches. So I figured I'm gonna let that one sit for a bit. Only because I already had planned to, sit here and hopefully find someone to talk to. And doing that and counting stitches and reading patterns is just not the most comfortable thing, I'd say. But if you give me a second here, I'm actually gonna get that out. And I did actually have to redo it. Or I started this, was it yesterday? Or was it the day before? No, it was yesterday. And I messed up because I wasn't paying attention to the pattern. So this is the first one I did. And now I have redone it because this is wrong. And the one I have is a couple of rows more. But what I did wrong is the corners here. There's cluster stitches. And I did 4 cluster stitches in each corner on this one. And it's only supposed to be 3. So I had to redo it because I had already sewn in the tails and I couldn't find it. I couldn't find where I did that. So otherwise I would have probably ripped it out since, well, it is 2 rows that I had to, but I don't know. It's kind of cute as it is. So I don't know what I'll do with it. I'll save it for something for later. But this is going to be a blanket for my daughter. Her birthday is the 20th of February. And I know this is going to take some time because I'm planning on making it quite big, and it is using a small hook. This is a cotton yarn, and it is probably my most go-to yarn type. So it is a yarn that I'm very comfortable with. It's 4 strands only held together. They're not twisted together. And I really love to work with this type of yarn. I do shawls and baby blankets and whatnot with this. But I'm going to use 4 yarn cakes. And this is the first. Look at the colors. It's pretty much a rainbow. It's missing orange. But other than that, it's a rainbow in the wrong order. But yeah, I have 3 more cakes like this. And I just started, and I do have a time crunch on it, and I don't want her to see it before it's done. so I can only work on this when she's sleeping or at daycare. But yeah, when I started doing this, the part where I just messed up, I was just very tired since I didn't read the pattern correctly. So it is what it is. I'll continue with that tomorrow and continue with this one. Yeah, well, she has I guess it's a period or something now where everything rainbow is the best. It's quite fun actually because I order most of my yarn online. We have a very small selection of yarns in my local yarn store, and I don't think they're very nice there either, so I don't like to shop there because they're just being rude most of the time. And the yarn here I'm working on, it's from, well, pretty much a dollar store type store here. Like everything is very cheap, and this is like their own brand. And they don't have a wide selection, so I like, yeah, 99% of my yarn I order online, and Hobby is my go-to yarn store. If you don't know what Hobby is, or if you haven't seen my videos, I have plenty of yarn haul videos from Hobby and the yarn I've bought, where I talk a little bit more about them. But since I buy the yarn online, and I'm really happy about the selections they have there, so it's just really fun to look at the yarns on their website. And I've been showing my daughter all the selections and colors and such. And at the beginning, when I just showed her some of the yarns, she was going for blues and purples. And blue is probably one of the most favorite colors, as far as I can tell. Like, she's almost 3, so she's probably not like, she doesn't know all the colors just yet, but she's always like, oh, I want blue, I want blue, I want blue. But she points at the purples. But one day I showed her a rainbow style cake of yarn, and after that she can't stop with all the talk about rainbows. So I'm actually giving her 2 blankets for her birthday, with this big cotton blanket being for her. And then I did she's gonna get a doll bed from her grandma. So grandma requested a blanket, or yeah, for the doll bed, and I did that the other day. And this is also, of course, like rainbow colored yarn. And I can't fit it all, but it's 12 of these squares, and then there's the moss stitch type border. And the flowers are popcorns, and I did this in a 3mm crochet hook, so they're really like stiff, and it feels great. They're not like collapsing, or they're just being there solid. And this is also, of course, a hobby yarn. I use this Manarola yarn, and I'm pretty sure that this is the same as their Carnival, because it looks identical in the specs, and also like how it feels, how it looks, and the colorways are different. So the Manarola yarn and the Carnival yarn is different colorways, so they are like, yeah, they don't have the same color. But it's really fun to see how these squares turn up very different. None is the same as, like, there's some that I thought that, okay, there might be similarities, but they're not. And I start with this one, and then I place them diagonally so that I wouldn't have two similar next to each other. And here is where I had the switch of the cakes, or the skeins. I did the pinks, and then it came to the orange, and then yellow was the closest I had, because this one starts with a green on the outside. So I switched to one with the yellow because it was the most similar, but I kept going on the diagonal. I wasn't sure if I was gonna like put the greens next to each other and stuff like that, but there's similarities, like almost not even visible, the border here, because it's a slightly yellow purple on this side, and this side is just purple, but that's probably the least showing border. Some of the other borders here really stands out with the contrasting colors being really cute. Of course, the green and the yellow melts together quite a lot. But of course, I was working on this when she was sleeping as well, because it's never a fun thing to give a birthday present to someone that's already seen it. It's more fun to, the first reaction type thing. I love gifting stuff to people that's very not expecting it. And I love how much the popcorns are standing out. Even though popcorns take a lot of time, I do very much like how they look. And I do prefer popcorns to bubble stitches. Bubble stitches are not very much fun. But it's really fun to work with color changing yarns and not have to really think about color placement, and just let the yarn do its thing. It can be tricky to figure out what type of pattern works with certain yarns. Like this yarn, I had such a hard time figuring out the pattern for it, because I did find the yarn first, and I did get these two because this is like this year's collection of colors at the store. And when I came home, I realized I had some colors that would work with this, since I do have, this is called Ellen and this is called Ellen, and then I have some that's called Esther, but it's the same yarn. It's 100% recycled polyester, which is really nice. It's cool to have recycled yarn. But I bought these two, and I was like, I'm gonna make something for my brother, a blanket. And when I found the colors I had at home, this rust color being one of them, and then I have a solid green, and part where there's some blue, light blue and a darker blue, and some of the beige colors that's pretty much the same as it is in the beige here. So I figured that was gonna work. And then I did find also this slightly rosy, I don't know, is it mauve maybe? I don't know, I'm not very good at colors, but I figured some solid accents would be nice, just a little bit. But it took me so long to figure out like what pattern, since these yarns are color changing and they're short bursts of color. It's not like big, long pieces. It's just really, really short bursts of color. So I wasn't sure, but this pattern is called Marnie's Garden. And this looks like a garden because it looks like the red rust is small flowers. Like, this is of course the backside of everything. But if you look at the front of it, where you get more details, arches and ridges and the front post parts, it does look a walk in the garden. This row here, with this color changing yarn, it's not very noticeable, but when you look at with a solid color, it kind of looks a little bit like tulips to me, like tulip buds or flower buds. And this just looks like, you know, garden paths with the bows or arches. I can see like vines growing up around arches in a garden. So it kind of felt like, you know, a color changing yarn in garden type colors was pretty, you know, it was meant to be for Marnie's garden. But I have changed it, the colors along the way. I have not done very much the same. Like the repeat is the same, and now I'm probably gonna do pretty much the same, other than like the pink here, and here we have the blue. Here I have a solid green, and I do have rounds with orange as well. But the solid ones, as well as this other color, I don't have as much of it. I have I had one full skein of the green, of the rust, and 3 of this bluish green. So I'm only adding them a little now and then for an extra pop of color, but I think it's time for some more rust soon. I did start with it in the beginning, and here in the center I actually have quite a lot of it. Like this big center square, we have the flower, which is really, really cute. This flower is similar, but not the same as the new project here. But it is the same designer for both these patterns. So they are, I guess, a bit similar because of that, because the designer has a style of her own, I guess. I think this is called Whatchamacallit, which is quite funny. Hooked on Sunshine is the pattern designer for both of these. And I have done 2 baby blankets in the pattern Doodad, also same designer. So it is a designer I enjoy very much to do her patterns. They're really well written and very much, you know, cute details. So that's fun. And with, you know, trickier, more intricate details and such, it is a little bit of a challenge sometimes, but with the patterns being really well written, it's easy to follow, as well as like you're challenging yourself and becoming better, trying new techniques, and it's fun. It's a journey to try different patterns, different pattern makers or designers. They do their own thing, and it's really fun to like test different styles. But when it comes to blankets, I'd say Hooked on Sunshine is one of my favorites. But I guess it's also like it's my style. I have also done mosaic blankets and other type of blankets, but I like these. Fairly simple, also easy to repeat. I like these, where you just repeat a section over and over and just watch it grow. Because sometimes you just need something fairly simple, and doing it over and over again makes it simple. But of course, there's the patterns where from beginning to end will be different. There's a section here with something, and then there's another section. I'm always worried also that I'm going to run out of yarn. And when I do these repeated type of patterns, it's easier to if you run out of yarn, you run out of yarn. But it's not going to be as noticeable as if you know what it's supposed to look like, and maybe not everyone else will, but if you have a pattern that continues with different things, it might look weird. These ones where I repeat a section, it's somehow just, one more repetition or one less repetition. It's not going to be noticeable at all. Just the size of the finished result, that it might be smaller or bigger. Also, that depends on what type of yarn you use, which makes it trickier. Like the blanket I'm gonna do, the pink one that I started, or not the pink one because it is a rainbow, but I do have 4 cakes in total of this yarn. It has the easy start tab thing, so I could have started here in the middle, but I figured I'd start at the outside to get a nice pink center, and then I'm gonna work my way in. And when I get to the center of this one, it's time to switch to the next cake. I'm gonna start center and work my way out. And then the cake after that, I'm gonna go outside in, and then I'm gonna go inside out again. So I'm starting center pink, and the framing is gonna be pink. I was thinking, like, should I cut at every color change and just get one, like the same gradient type of color as it is right now, but I've done like the cutting up of these cakes before, and at that point it was only 2 cakes. Well, I have done a couple of times where I've done 2 cakes the same color, but for a slow like all the center colors together, and then the next one I did cut and cake before I started, so I had all the center color first. That cake did look different because it was blue, yellow, blue, and then fading colors from blue to yellow and from yellow to blue. So I wanted to start with the yellow, which was like in the middle-ish, or like not in the center, but I guess where the blue green meets or something. So I had to cut it up before I could start, since I wanted yellow center and then it all fade to the blue on the outside. So that was pre-cut. I did a couple of smaller cakes with yellow, and yellow with 1 strand of blue, 2 strands of blue, 2 strands of yellow, 3 strands of blue, 1 strand yellow, and then a solid blue cake. And then I have done another one where I've just had 2 cakes side by side, where I started in the middle, and when I came to the color change I cut, and then I just started in the middle of the next cake, and then I alternated between the 2 cakes as I went along. And I'd say that is a method that works pretty good if you only have 2 cakes, but I have 4, and I don't feel like I want to sit and maybe miss out on one because wasn't paying attention or something. it's going to be a lot of yarn ends to sew in if I cut that often, like every color change. And I'm feeling like I don't have all the time in the world because I have a deadline, which is in the end of February. So for that reason, I don't like, yeah, I don't want to do too much extra stuff. And I think it's going to be gorgeous either way. It's going to be fun to see how the colors are changing and how the blanket is going to look at the end. Either way, I'd say. And I haven't done anything really where you just start in the middle or the outside as I'm doing and go all the way and then like the opposite way for the next cake and then alternating. I have done a baby blanket where I started in the middle and then I worked my way out and then I did take a next cake and started on the outside and did a little bit because it like the extra part that I needed for that particular pattern was just a little bit on the outside. So that was not a lot that I did use. So it's not like two full cakes from the inside out, outside in. But yeah, I'm really loving this. Is actually a dahlia cake. Hobie has a lot of sultan types, but this one is dahlia. But it's also 100% cotton. I'm not the biggest fan of the cotton acrylic ones. They're also very gorgeous, but I do prefer the cotton ones because it feels like they're a little bit more, I don't know, they feel more durable, but I don't know why that is. Of course, acrylic can be like holding up as well, but it feels like you have to be a little bit more delicate in how you wash acrylics most of the time. Cotton yarns can handle higher temperatures and can often be washed in the dryer. And cotton yarns, that is like you have to be careful with how you wash them. It's usually not the fiber itself, it's the color. If it's dyed, like that, the color can fade or be, the color can be falling out, I guess. But acrylics, if you wash them too warm, feels like they get messed up in different ways. Like the fiber itself gets damaged and destroyed. But also, like, cottons is very good for pot holders and just because it's not melting like acrylics and other synthetics might do. But I'm not like, of course, everyone can be a bit of a yarn snob here and there, but I'm not picky at all. I use whatever fiber I can get my hands on. Even fibers I probably shouldn't, because I do have slightly, well, I wouldn't say straight out allergies, but I am very sensitive to wool, and I do occasionally use wool, sheep wool, but I might have to take an allergy pill or two while doing it because I get itches on my hands and my nose starts running and my eyes get itchy. So basically, like pollen, hay fever type allergy symptoms. Well, of course, the itchy hands is a bit different, but it's not too bad. Maybe not the most comfortable. Alpaca is another story, because alpaca is worse. It takes a lot less for me to react from alpaca. But that doesn't mean I never use alpaca. It just means that I don't use it very often. And when I do, it's for very special projects, for very special reasons. And I have a box of allergy meds close by. And I might not be able to sit and do it 3 days in a row for a long time. It's shorter amount of times, more spread out. I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but it feels like if I continue to, put myself in situations where I get in contact with stuff I am not tolerating, that maybe I'll be able to work up a little bit more of a resistance to it. So I don't want to cut it out like 100%. And also, like, when I'm in yarn stores looking at new yarns, and of course I'm going to touch the woolly stuff as well. I'm not going to avoid it. And it's always interesting to see if I do get reactions or not, because I've noticed that some wools are worse than others. Superwash is more tolerable as well. I guess that has something to do with how they're treated. The whole superwash treated thing. So and I have had some merino that I was slightly reacting to, and some mohair at one point that I slightly reacted to, and I don't really know what I can handle and not unless I try it, right? But yeah, as far as I can tell, alpaca is what I can tolerate the least at the moment. Which is sad, because I did order a wheel of alpaca. The Black Friday sale. So I do have one of those laying around, but I haven't felt like I can touch it just yet. I'm thinking maybe I should wait till summer where I can like sit outdoors, so I don't have like the fibers all over myself, that I can just like shake it off. Maybe that's the way to go. I don't know. I don't know how common it is to be allergic or sensitive to wool and yarn and such, but I do know that it kind of runs in a family. Not particularly the wool. My mother is, I don't know if she's allergic or if she just reacts a little bit to lanolin, which is basically wool fat. So hand creams usually has lanolin, or not usually, but it's very common in hand creams and lotions and such. So she always has to read the labels to make sure it's not any of that in it. She likes to knit, and she usually knits with wool, so she can handle the wool itself, but the wool fat is something she reacts to. And it's kind of funny that she can handle the wool and I can't, but she can't handle the wool fat, and I don't have a problem with reacting to lotions or creams or anything where that is in. So I don't know what's up with that. I think it's kind of funny. Or it's not funny, it's not fun, but it's it just sounds so quite funny that it should logically be that neither of us could handle the same thing, you know, or that would be making more sense. That it's either the wool fat or the wool fiber. That we should have the same issues, I guess. Feels like I should be getting closer to finishing this row or this round. But nope. Well, I just did this corner and I have 2 sides left on this round. Oh my god. The rounds that takes forever. It just takes longer and longer. But yeah, these cluster stitches feels like they are taking extra long time since it's basically 3 unfinished double crochets. And then I just make them into one. Because it's, yeah, 3 double crochets together, or clusters. And of course that takes a little bit longer than making. Technically I could do a V-stitch with 2 chains in the chain space and it would be the same. But this cluster stitch fills out the space in a very pretty way, I'd say. I'm gonna take I'm gonna try and time it when I'm done with this row or this round and get to the next round. I'm gonna try and time how long the whole round is taking, because it's quite interesting to see the difference. When I did the last like really timing, it took almost half an hour to make one row from one corner to the other corner. So over 2 hours to go all the way around. And at that point, the blanket was about 115 centimeters from side to side. I don't know how tall it is now, but it is a perfect square. And I am kind of short. It's probably good enough for me now, but it is for my brother, and he's quite a bit taller than I am. So I have to basically think that this is going to be good enough for probably closer to a king size bed, for it to be like long enough for him to cuddle down underneath it and not have to worry that his feet's going to stick out, or that it's not going to be tall enough for him to, hide underneath it. And now I'm messing up my stitches because I'm not paying attention. clusters is what we're gonna do, not just double crochets. Okay. I have a total, well, not left anymore, but a total of 44 skeins of yarn, and 44, and they all weigh 100 grams, so that's 4.4 kilos. It's gonna be heavy. I probably have used half, if not more, of the yarn that I have. But I'm guessing it's gonna take a couple of more hours before this one's getting closer to finished. But yeah, I'm not gonna be prioritizing this as much now when I have to do the rainbow blanket. But I'm just too tired now to count my stitches and read the pattern. Just like when I started it the first time, the centerpiece that I'm now throwing out because it was messed up because I didn't pay attention to my stitches. And this one I'm just basically autopiloting. I'm keeping an eye on like the stitch placement, but that's about it. Oh, I'm curious. Are you a pencil grip holder or are you a knife holder? How do you hold your crochet hook? I usually get comments on, in some kind of fashion, on how I hold my crochet hook. Either it's, oh, someone that holds like me, which it just feels rare, I guess. There's a lot of more knife holders out there. So when people see that I'm a pencil holder, and I guess I hold it a bit different than some other pencil holders because there's so many ways you can hold a crochet hook, but I like to let my longer finger work with keeping my stitches in place, especially when I do more tricky stitches or like this extended. I'm just trying to make sure that the other stitches that's still on my hook doesn't slide off. Puff stitches is also very annoying when stitches are sliding where they're not supposed to go. But yeah, my long finger is working quite a lot most of the time. And with these tulip edemo hooks, I usually hold my thumb more on the bump here so that it kind of rolls a little bit here on this flat surface. Of course I can hold there as well also, but it just feels like when I'm holding on the bump, it's easier to wiggle the head back and forth, and I get more control like that. But that's only what I do and what feels good for me. There's so many varieties out there. When I learned how to crochet, I also did the knife grip or knife hold. And occasionally I can do knife holding if I do more of basket type projects with large hooks, thick yarn, and really tight stitches where you really basically need to stab it in, because it feels like I have more control when I do, like I can speed and be more technical with the pencil grip, But if I need more of like a brute force because of really tight stitches, really heavy duty stuff things, baskets or um yeah, that type of dense fabric that almost needs to be able to stand by itself, then I do need the strength of the knife hold. I'm just gonna get some more water. It's heavy to sit under blankets. Not just heavy, warm. I'm warm and toasty, and I'm not even underneath it. I have one foot here and the other foot over there, and the blanket's just next to me. Or it's on my thigh, on my one of my thighs. And it's enough for me to sit here and feel very hot and toasty. If you would recommend your favorite yarn to me, what would it be? What type of fiber, or is it like colors that make you go all crazy for a yarn? What's your favorite and why? I like affordable yarns. I love color. Even though I'm not like always the most colorful when I walk outside. So I can make a lot of colorful stuff, but I more or less only use it around the house, which is kind of sad. I like fast projects, but somehow I always seems to have larger projects going. Blankets, shawls is a nice quick workup most of the times, but the thin cotton yarns that I like, the color changing cakes, they are probably not well, they're not the fastest workup, but I could probably use larger hook sizes and I could double it up, but you don't get the lacy, nice drape when you do that. I love the feel of fairly light and drapey shawls and blankets, so I guess that's why it's more my go-to than anything else. I don't know how many shawls I've done, and I'm probably just gonna keep doing them because it's fun. And there's so many fun patterns out there you can just find more and more every time I open Ravelry, and it's like I want to try this, I want to try that, and oh, I might have a yarn that works for this, or I need to order more yarn because I don't have what I wish I had for that type of pattern. Oh, yeah. Yarn hoarding is a hobby. Yes. Just like there's people out there collecting stamps and paying thousands for a stamp. Then I'd say I can have a couple of extra cakes of yarn or skeins or whatever with my next order. Even though I might only need 2 of something, I might order 5 or just that extra to get to free shipping, or, totally fine. Because there's people out there that's collecting stamps. To me, that's crazy. I have more yarn that I can probably use up for the, I don't know, next 2-3 years. So I don't really need more yarn. Will I order more yarn or buy more yarn? Yeah, most likely. Not this week though. But my birthday's coming up soon, the 4th of February. So I might be enjoying some discounts from my favorite yarn store. They do have birthday coupons. So that's possible. I just don't know what yarn I would order at this time. I don't have anything that I'm like, oh, I want that or I need that at the moment. I have probably it would probably be more like, oh, I want some more colors of my typical kind of yarn. Not any really other types of yarns. Unless I find some new interesting patterns. So it looks like we have some new company here. Welcome to the chat. Feel free to say anything at all. Where are you from? What time is it where you're at? Do you like to crochet? Are you crocheting something right now? Anyone able to drink a cup of coffee for me? Then please do so. Oh my god, why am I such a sucker for coffee? I don't get it. I'm not drinking that much coffee on a regular basis normally, but when I've been sitting here like midnight time-ish crocheting, it's like, oh, a cup of coffee would be so nice right now. But it's just too late. Because I don't want to stay up all night and not be able to be a decent parent to my children in the morning because I'm so grumpy for being up all night. It's just very annoying, I'd say, that I get in the mood for coffee now. and not to stay awake, it's just the flavor. The taste of coffee right now would be awesome. Oh, please do. Please do. It's getting closer to. Is it past midnight already? I'm not. Yep, it's almost 1 o'clock in the morning. Definitely not time for coffee. I'll tell you that much. However, I did just notice that I need to try and plug my charger in. Because otherwise, my phone will die. So I'm sorry for the shaking now, but I can't really help it. I need to sort this out. Like so. There we go. It's kind of funny that I sometimes, very often, when I sit down to record a YouTube video, that I start to ramble. I like to ramble, and I very often lose track of what I'm actually talking about or what I want to say. That happens. That's just how I am, I guess. I do have some memory issues, and I'm not always the best at like keeping track of what I actually want to say or where I'm going, and then I sidetrack, and it is what it is. And I noticed that I very often happen to do that in my YouTube videos, and I can just sit and talk and talk and talk, and I have to stop myself. And it's kind of funny that now when I'm sitting here not really focusing on that particular part to I don't know. I just don't really know what to say instead. It's I like to focus on my crocheting, and I also like to talk, but sometimes it just feels like I'm not the best at combining it. That now when I probably should say something, I don't. And when I don't need to say a lot, I ramble and say too much. Do you know how that feels? I guess I'm just very self-aware or self-conscious or something like that. I'm just very afraid to disappoint, I guess. And if I don't talk, I'm not funny or not something, and then people won't watch because it's not interesting enough. But I love to crochet, and I just don't have a lot of people around me that I can share my hobby with and my craft, or all of the those type of parts. Geeking out over fancy yarn and gorgeous colors and soft, squishy yumminess, really. So I just have to find someone else to share it with. And the world seemed like the perfect choice. That anyone and everyone can be a part of it if they want to. I just hope that there's people that wants to share all of this fun stuff with me. I am getting closer to a corner. This round feels like it's taken forever. And I still have a whole side to go before I'm done on this row. And guess what? The next row is identical. Well, there's increases in the corners, but other than that, it's identical. So it will take longer since the corners are extra stitches compared to this row. But that's not a lot. It's just a regular increased corner, so not that bad, but it's still so far till I'm done with these clusters for this time. Here you can see what it's supposed to look like. There's 3 rows of clusters, but there's also an extra round with the extended front posts, but it's only single crochets and chain spaces instead of clusters in between. Oh, did not intend to do that. But I'm definitely not accidentally hitting my camera holder as much as I did last time. I've very recently started to try out different type of camera angles and such. Usually I've been sitting at my desk or my kitchen table, and now I'm on the couch, which is a lot more comfortable when you want to crochet for hours and just chit chat. I highly doubt I would be able to sit and crochet for hours at my kitchen table without my back just yelling no, because that chair is just not good enough to sit in for a very long time. And on the couch you can always put some pillows under your elbow and get extra support to not have painful shoulders and such. I usually don't have a problem with pain whatsoever, but occasionally when I've been sitting for a long time in a weird position, I do get some issues. So anything to avoid it, to be able to continue for hours and hours and hours is just wonderful, right? Do you have a favorite crochet stitch? I very much like the look and the feel of popcorn stitches, but they are quite, I wouldn't say annoying to make, but when you make a lot of them, they feel very slow. But I like the consistency that popcorn can be compared to like bubble stitches and puff stitches. I don't know, it just feels like I can get the popcorns more consistent most of the time. Oh, whoopsie. Well, I'm definitely gonna need more skeins of this color before the next color change. This one's starting to get a bit closer to the end already. The rows are so long now that it's, and this is a very yarn eating stitch, but it's very close to almost needing a skein a row. I'm not really there just yet, but I'm not surprised when that it comes, you know. Yarn eating stitches and very long rounds. But that's how it is to make huge blankets. I'm guessing it's gonna be king size when I'm done. Ish. I'm not I'm not sure of it. Because when I'm out of yarn, I'm out of yarn, but I have quite a lot of yarn left still. And it is quite big already, so. Oh, did we get some more company? Hello and welcome. There's a few downsides with the YouTube chat, and that's that I'm not able to see who's in here without you actually saying hi in the chat or something. So that's a little bit sad, I guess, that I can't just, oh, hello, so and so, nice to see you back here, if you don't tell me who you are. Because I do know and I do understand that not everyone can sit here all the time. I might be doing some stuff and then maybe popping back in, so maybe not everyone is a totally new person. And sometimes it's only new people. And I very much like to welcome you here when I see that there's more people coming in to stop by, which is very nice to see. And it's also very fun to see where everyone's from, so if you feel like sharing what country you're in, please do. Just because that's also... Oh, no worries. I just see that there's other people than just you and me here. I feel like just calling you Miss Coffee, but maybe you're not a Miss, maybe you're a Mrs. or, you know. Sandworm. Coffee sand. How did you come up with that nickname? It's very odd and quirky, and I like it. But sandworm. It's cute. Are you just freehanding it, or are you reading a pattern? It's after 1 o'clock in the morning. Yay! I should be going to bed soon. Not just quite yet. Hats, when you've done a few, is usually pretty simple. So most of the time, I'd say freehand hats. But occasionally it can be really fun to test new patterns out and new styles and such. So that's also a fun thing. A different dimension, I guess, with the whole like trying new techniques and challenging myself to get better and do something I haven't before. Let's see. Like so. Are you making that hat for yourself or someone else? Oh, I've heard of Beetlejuice. I've not seen Beetlejuice, so maybe that's why I didn't pick up on that reference. It's fun to gift stuff. It's always fun to see people getting all happy about getting stuff. But yeah, there's also the people out there that's not very appreciative and that don't understand all the hard work and all the time that's put into some crafts. My daughter's always very happy when I make her stuff, and when I'm not making anything for her, she's very jealous. So she's been pulling at this blanket and saying that I should make a blanket for her instead of for my brother, which is quite funny that I'm making her two blankets for her birthday. And she has no clue. I made her a dress for Christmas, and occasionally she's running around with it and being all proud, being, oh, mommy made this for me, which is really cute. I think she's my number one fan. She's almost 3, so let's hope this continues when she's older as well, because I can see that that might change. Just have to keep my fingers crossed that it's very far away. that it doesn't happen anytime soon. That I can be her number one, or she can be my number one fan for a few years more to come. Before she starts changing her mind and act up in her teens, I guess. I am now debating whether I should finish this row and then go to bed, or if that's gonna take me too long time, because I probably should already be in bed. I just don't want to go to bed. I am enjoying myself and having too much fun. And the next corner might be far away. Still, well, it's not that far away, but it's probably gonna take me, I don't know, at least 10 more minutes, if not longer. I might be quite fast, but I'm also tired. And I have been here for quite some time now without stretching my legs more than changing position, I guess. Then again, that's not very uncommon. It's more or less a daily thing that I sit here for a few hours or more in the world of crochet. Oh, so warm. I need some more water. I see light at the end of the tunnel. The corner is getting closer and closer. But my guess of 10 minutes felt way short. Feels like it's a lot longer than 10 minutes before I get to that corner. So I'm guessing these cluster stitches are not just yarn eaters. They're very slow. So, for anyone still watching now, thank you very, very much for stopping by. I hope you had a good time, or at least a relaxing moment. And I'm planning to do more of these lives. Hopefully fairly regularly. But I am not gonna put too many promises out, because I've noticed that whenever I feel like, oh, I'm gonna get better at this, I'm gonna try and post more regularly and whatnot, I get sick, kids get sick, stuff happens, life happens, and then I just get frustrated and annoyed that I'm not doing as much as I wish I could, or it just feels like it's easier to just go live when I'm just crocheting away anyway, you know? So this might be my thing, I guess. It takes a lot of the pressure off to sit down and record and stuff. This is just more easy, and it's also easier to interact. You can be a part of everything a lot more by, putting stuff in the chat, thumbs up, and all of that stuff. And it's more like direct feedback, I guess, which is very nice. Also, like, the whole chatty part is really fun. People sharing where they're from, what they like, what they're doing. It just feels very relaxed. And I very much appreciate everyone that just takes a little bit of their time to come and hang out. And of course, I do have the videos as well on my channel with other stuff and more entertainment, I guess, when I'm not here to entertain live. But yeah, as you can see, I'm at the corner here, so I'm almost gonna give up. I'm giving up for today. And I hope to see you back here again soon, or in the comments of my other videos, of course. So let's see here. I'm gonna slip stitch my way into the corner, so I'm all done with this round. Yay! So I have done more or less one round during the stream. I know I don't know. Maybe I was here or something when I started. But that's almost 2.5 hours ago. Oh my god. Yeah. It just takes a long time. These rounds now. It's probably gonna take me days to get this blanket finished. But that's for another day. Yes. So for now, I am just gonna go and sleep. Thank you very, very much yet again. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you, and good night.